here to speak or hear me speak. Maybe you want to speak to me, I don't know. We can step aside and do that later if you'd like. But our guest speaker for today is the Mayor of Lancaster, and as is our tradition, every year he comes and gives us a State of the City address. So without further ado, I introduce to you Mayor R.rex.
Oh, you don't want to hear that screech that wakes everybody up? Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. Seems strange that a year has already gone by since we've been here last time. Lots happened. A lot more is going to happen. Some good, some bad. And I thought I would talk to you all about it. Can we pull the lights down a little bit? Okay, who's in charge of the light? There we go. A little bit more. Good. Nicole Allen at the city has spent several days putting this together, so I want everybody to be able to see it. She did a magnificent job. It's been 4 years since I was initially elected to mayor, and in that 4 years, I think we've accomplished a great deal. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And where it's put us is really on a peak. And some people look at that peak and think we've accomplished, we're successful, we've done something nobody thought we could do. And that would be wrong. Because where that peak really is it shows us all the things ahead of us, all the things we can accomplish, all the challenges, but more importantly, all the successes that await us if we just keep that same energy and that same commitment to building this city into something none of us dreamed about just a couple years ago. And I'm seeing people for the first time starting to believe in it, that we're becoming something that is world class. And there are a lot of people that would like to stop that progress. And I think it's for a myriad of reasons. One is, who are we to think we can do it? Where do we get off doing it? And how dare us ask questions that nobody else is willing to ask? And I think that's what we're seeing right now, is that turmoil. But you know, in engineering and metallurgy, what you do with metal is you heat it up, and you get it just dancing, just dance on all those molecules. And then, as it cools down, it cools it down with all of them lined up, and with a much stronger piece of metal that can withstand just about anything. And I sometimes think that's where we are right now with all this Section 8 stuff. It's just boiling a little bit. And when it cools down, we're going to have something magnificent that everybody can see. But until then, the biggest threat to this city right now are the people using Section 8 for their own purposes, for their own political agenda. Make no mistake about that. That issue does have the ability to stop everything, to turn what we're doing into something that becomes mediocre, that becomes irrelevant on the overall scheme of things. You know, the vice mayor wrote them a letter saying, could we just have a moratorium till we figure this out? Till we figure out what the impact is having on our neighborhoods, what we can do to adjust, what we can do to make it work. You know what they told us? That even writing the letter was illegal. That it was a violation of the law for us to even suggest anything to stop Section 8 in any way. How is that possible in America? But that is one of the things that we're going to have to fight in the lawsuit, is that we dared to write that letter. And all we were doing was reaching out for some help. And their response was to turn their back to us. And now they're on the attack. 49 requests for documents, like every single document that in any way references an arrest for the last 5 years. That's 1 million documents, and they're everywhere. You know, every phone message, every email, it would literally take us about $100,000 to respond to that. And there's no way we can respond to it. I mean, we don't have very many employees left. You know, every one of those employees is working at maximum capacity now. And why would they need it? It's just to threaten us, to cost us money, to scare us into a settlement. They want us to do exactly what that other city did, is recognize that they can beat us and beat us and beat us, and that there's no winning. Well, you know, Dwight Eisenhower once said, it doesn't matter how big the dog in the fight is. It matters how big the fight is in the dog. And they picked on the wrong dog. This is the city of Lancaster, and we are proud of what we're doing. And I don't care how big they are. And I hope you agree with me that this is an issue that matters. But why is that the biggest threat? I mean, why don't I just cave in? Why don't I just tell Section 8 that whatever they want to do is right? Right now, we are the most diverse, integrated city in LA County, which means probably the state, which means probably the country. I don't have any information to the contrary. I actually think we may be the most integrated city in America. Every indication is that that might be true. Well, you know, that's not just a bragging right. I think that's the reason we're as successful as we are. That in the worst economic downturn any of us have experienced, oh wait a minute, Larry should always here. In the worst economic downturn that any of us except Larry have experienced, we've rebuilt our downtown. We've taken crime and cut it in almost in half. And I'd like to say I did it, but it was the Sheriff's Department that did that. Four years ago, we were inundated with gangs, inundated with them. And they were of all kinds and colors. Isn't that right? They were everywhere. We had 17 young people gunned down in our streets. 17 in 1 year. Last year, 0. Not one. I think it's because of that diversity. And in fact, the science tells us exactly that. Scott Page is the leading, he first got us started, theories of complexity. And then when you went into diversity and what kind of decisions people make and what kind of substantive things just seem to emerge when you have diverse groups. The more diverse, the more functionally diverse, the greater the emergence of whatever you're doing occurs. It's almost magical. And I think we have to recognize that that's what's happening to us. People take our attention and focus it like a laser beam on our differences. And they miss what that diversity is doing for us. We are accomplishing things no other city in America is accomplishing right now. And I think that's the reason. And, you know, we had this picture was taken because of everybody wore blue jeans in support of a rape victim. And that was the reason for the picture. But look at that picture. You know, this city does not recognize color. This is the group that's leading our city. It could not be more diverse. And I think that's the reason it's that successful. And Section 8 threatens that, the way it is currently administered. And I have to be very clear of what I say, because it turns out it might be a crime, what I say, if I say something bad about Section 8. Who would have thought that? And you know, they're very good at taking what I say and cutting it up, and just taking half the sentence. So it's almost impossible for me to say anything. But when does that ever stop me? In LA County, if you were to look at all the households, that's the percentage of Section 8 households at the top. It's a little over 1%. In Lancaster, it's 5%. It's imbalanced. Any way you look at it, it's imbalanced. But even that would be okay, because let's, in fairness, what we have not talked about is the benefit of Section 8. And there is a benefit to us as a city. It's disposable income that's being brought into our city. Those foreclosed homes that are sitting vacant have no use to us. And if the Section 8 was coming in a balanced way, we'd be okay with it. If they also gave us the money that they keep down in Los Angeles to take care of this group of people. And it's always about money. I mean, whenever they say it's not about the money, it's about the money. And that's what this is about. They want to keep those billions of dollars down in the city, but send the people it's supposed to benefit someplace else. And it's not just us. It's Victorville, it's Apple Valley. They are taking the